for Black Girl Nerds.
Listen, it helps to find the unmute button, right? There we go. What's going on, everybody? What's up? This is the Fast X review for Black Girl Nerds. I'm your host, your moderator, also a really crazy Fast and Furious fan. Why I'm so excited, but you don't have to listen to me talk and rant like I usually do about Fast and Furious. I have a gorgeous team with me, amazing team with me here today. But first, a few little housekeeping things today. Make sure you are subscribed to Black Girl Nerds YouTube page, Facebook, Twitter, all the socials, because you miss out on when we surprise you like this and do all these reviews because movies are coming out lightning fast. They're going hard after this pandemic, the way they're coming out. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you stay up to date on what we got going on. Also, shameless plug here. We also have a listening portion of the podcast that is out, comes out every Monday, new episodes. And I got to talk to Son Kang, who plays Han. So go check that out. See what he has to say about the different cars that match up to the characters. One of my favorite things about this franchise. So definitely go check that out. But that being said, this is spoiler alert. I'm going to say that again. Spoiler alert. Fast X review. We are spoiling some stuff. So if you're hardcore fans like us, please pause us. Go to the movie theaters. Check it out. May I recommend 40X? Because it's probably going to feel like a roller coaster if you do. But go check it out. Come back. Hear our recap. Hear all of our spoilers. There's some crazy stuff going on. So we don't want to take anybody out if you're a fan. So spoiler alert. All right. Now that we said that, I want to introduce you to this great team. I'm going to let everybody go around and introduce themselves. Natasha, I'm going to start with you. If you can introduce yourself, your plugs.
Hey, I'm Natasha. I'm with Team JVS. I'm excited to be here to finally do a spoiler discussion about Fast and the Furious Fast X. So I'm grateful to be here.
Good to have you. Akil.
Hey, I'm Akil. I'm one half of the Back and Now podcast. We are based out of North Carolina and Toronto, and we cover all things nerddom, and I'm happy to be here again.
KC.
I go by KC, K to the C. This is Momoa right here, Momoa. You know when he was doing that in the movie over and over. But yeah, man, I'm the other half of the Back and Out podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure and honor. I'm excited to get into this. Buckle up.
Back and Out podcast. Yeah, what's up, Jorge? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Jorge. I'm also part of Team JVS, and I'm just a diehard Fast and Furious fan, so I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And being able to have a spoiler one is even better. So, yep.
Yep, exactly. Again, it's spoiler. We keep saying it because we don't want you guys mad hitting up our comments. So go watch the movie and then come back, okay? Because we got to get into it. We got to dig into it. Okay, we got to do initial thoughts, right? This is how it goes. We got to figure out everybody's initial thoughts. Tell us how the movie theater was feeling with people up out of their seat. What was going down, Natasha? I'll start with you and go back around again.
I feel like was the theater kind of full? I feel like it was a good crowd when we went to see it. I think there was a little bit of cheering. I think we were just trying to absorb all of the action and all of the craziness that was going on because it is a fast, and a furious movie. And so you just want to absorb the experience. I feel like I kind of shouted a little bit, not too much though. I was like, oh, come on.
They definitely got the moments. They definitely got them. They couldn't be Fast and Furious without. Whoa, okay.
Exactly.
Akil, how was your feel? The first intake?
I went and saw it Thursday, early showing on Thursday. There was laughter. There was, are you serious? There's a moment in the film where a character looks at Dom and he says, hey, Dom, I'm listening now. All hell broke loose after that scene. The theater was lit. It's the stupid absurdity that you expect from Fast and Furious. So, you know the vibes when you're going into a Fast movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the theater for me was, at first they were a little hoity-toity in this VIP theater I was in. They were all kind of like a little stiff, and I was like, I was laughing and being more excited, and people started to warm up more. They started to realize and remember what kind of movie they were in, and they were laughing at things, and the charm of the movie got them, and they opened up more as the movie went along, and it became a fun ride in the theaters. But at first, it was a little stiff. It was a little stiff in there. But I had a great time. You know what to expect from this. It's fast food. You know what I mean? This is fast food of films. So I knew what I was walking into, so I had a great time. I had a blast.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna steal that. Fast food of films. I like that.
Like, is that
That's true.
yet? Because I need that one.
Go ahead. This one just had a little too much salt on it. You know, like McDonald's fries when they put just a little too much salt. You're still gonna eat it. You're still gonna finish the food, but you know, it's like, damn, they put a little too much out here. You know, but yeah, it was still enjoyable. I knew what I was walking into.
Yeah, I think for me it's the same experience. I got to see it with like a press screening, and I thought it was gonna be, you know, all kind of no one really getting into it, but at least the people that I was around, we were all getting into it. And you know, with any Fast and Furious movie, like I love the little kind of like cameos that you see here and there.
Yeah.
And there was one of my favorite band that actually showed up, which I like geeked out, and no one around me knew who that guy was, but I was geeking out. So I felt happy about that one. But no, I think my theater, I mean, we enjoyed it. And I think especially when you stay all the way to the end and you see that end credit scene, like that's when people really started losing their minds. So we were popping in our theater, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I was definitely included in that. Just a couple stats for people that are curious. Right now, Fast X is taking over the box office. It's at 67.5 million. So you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is behind it. You know, so we're gonna see how it's rocking once we can. You know, the whole weekend is complete as it goes throughout the week. But it's definitely bringing the fans, because that is the thing about Fast and Furious, right? It's all about the fans' reaction. They stream like constantly. Like, who has a premiere party for a trailer? Like, they go all out. Like, Fast and Furious goes all out to bring in the fans. And this is what, you know, they know how to get the fan service. They know how, like everybody said, great. They know how to keep you on the edge of your seat. There's not one point of the movie where you're like, oh man, we still here. Like, it didn't even feel like it was 2 hours. Like, there's an explosion over here. Somebody's, you know, jumping off of something over here. Like, it is intense and crazy. And I definitely got to check out that 40X. Like, I'm curious. I've never done 40X before, but I'm curious, like, how this roller coaster will be.
It's not fun. I did it.
It's not fun to kill?
Yeah, I did it for Shazam, and I had popcorn candy. You can't be doing all that in 40X, man. You get in, you're shaking, there's smoke. You can't enjoy snacks. You just gotta sit down and enjoy the movie. It's not a snack experience with 40X.
All right. Well, I do like to hold on to my popcorn. That stuff is expensive, so I don't know. I need to think about it a little bit. All right, so let's get into here, right? Because I'm pretty sure, like, if you got your family count number going, I think we said family about 16 times probably in this movie. Like, you know,
25.
25?
It's 20. I believe it was 25 times. Yeah, every. Yeah, it's 25.
All right, it's about the family.
That's online.
So we're gonna start off with the family. Okay.
Every half an hour.
You said what? Every half
no,
I
think it was like every 5 minutes or something. I saw it online. It was like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes they said family somewhere in the movie. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm right.
There you go. Because
kind of getting manipulative.
There you go. There's a family. There's a family right there. That's why you gotta say it 25 times. Now, usually, let me give people a little backstory. If you're not like Fast and Furious fans like us, usually you get this kind of scene at the end. Like, they done kick the villain's butt, everybody coming together, wrapping it up. You usually get this at the end. Yeah, but we get this scene, plus we get a scene with Dom and little Brian, his son, teaching him how to drive. And so I want to know you guys' reaction on, first of all, Lil B behind the wheel. I was like, what is happening? And then we got Oscar winner Rita Moreno in this Fast and Furious franchise. Like, the Oscar winners are pulling into this franchise as Aboleta. You know, she was very cute in this and just commanding the scene as she entered into this family. And you know, we don't get a lot of Dom's family, but these last 2 movies have been all about his like immediate like bloodline family that we usually don't get a black backstory to. So I kind of want you guys to give your opinion on, you know, what do you think about the way his family is expanding? Did you appreciate the barbecue, the cookout before you take out the villain? Like, what were you guys' thoughts? Let's go with Natasha. We'll keep kicking it out with you. We'll keep it going that way. So we'll go with you first.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they did start off with the family barbecue in the beginning, because we kind of know this is a 2-parter. It's kind of like, okay, some issue's going to go down and it's going to leave on some form of a cliffhanger. So we can't get what we usually get at the end. So I'm like, okay, yep, it's all going to be some mess. But it was also really nice to see Mama, because this is the first time we've met Mama Toretto. Yeah. This is the first time we met Mama. And I'm like, it took, 10 movies for us to meet Mama?
Yeah.
But seeing Rita Moreno, like, you know, because I remember West Side Story. So I'm like, just like seeing her and she just still looks good. Like, you know, I was like, of course they pick her as Mama. Like it just like Helen Mirren playing the Shaw's mama.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So I was like, okay, this is good. They always do pretty good casting when it comes to the Fast and Furious movies. So
Good. My first thing was like, oh Lord, they're gonna kill the mom by the end of this movie or something.
I was worried about
Jason is gonna kill the mom. Huh? They just because they introduced her so late into this whole franchise. I was like,
Yeah.
don't do this in the same movie at least, please. You know, so they didn't do that. So I was happy. I'm interested to see what they do with this character now that they added it to the foil of this whole situation, because I know it's not the deepest of written stories, but you know, everybody's in there to serve a purpose, and I'm interested to see what her future purpose is going to be in this franchise. So it was pretty dope to see finally.
I guess I'll go next. Look, I feel like the barbecue is amazing. Like it has to be the world's best barbecue, because I feel like that's the tagline before they do the mission. They're like, yo, you might get, you know, a couple mil, but that barbecue, Grill Master Dom, you know that food killing. You know it's the best food. Like I don't trust Letty though, because Letty lost her memory and she made the potato salad in the last film. And a lot of people weren't eating the potato salad. They were eating the beans and they were eating the hot dogs and they were drinking Corona. So I don't trust Letty's cooking. But Dom, Grill Master Dom, that's where the food's at right there. The casting for the mom, it's how these two Spanish people have a John Cena. Dad's Dominican, I believe. Mom's Puerto Rican. And your son is John Cena? That don't make sense. Dom's son look black. Hell, I might be the pappy of Brian, because that's a black child.
That you try to be the dad. Come on now.
That's an Afro Latino right there. And how is black and Italian Vin Diesel a Dominican?
Yep.
Then it's convincing, because that wedding scene where he had the white undershirt and the white pants, I was like, yo, it's very Dominican.
Yep.
That's very on brand. He had me sold. So yeah, that's my opinions of the Fast family. The barbecue is fire. It's the best barbecue. I know people want to get invited to the black cookout. I want to get invited to the Fast family cookout, because I think those to-go plates are probably fire.
See, my problem is I wouldn't be at the cookout. I'd be looking at the cars.
Oh, you're missing out.
Because that driveway was looking nice. No, I think for me, like, the cookout was nice. My biggest gripe is they keep leaving that open chair for, like, you know, Paul Walker's character, like Brian, or, you know, if Cody's gonna come back, to always come back to it. And it's now becoming a little awkward. You know, it's like the more you kind of see it, and at the end of Fast 9, they ended with the barbecue and they were about to do the prayer, and they're like, oh, should we wait? And she's like, oh, he's coming. And you see his skyline roll up, and I was just like, that's how they're gonna start Fast X. So, yeah. So I mean, I think for me, that's one of those things where I was like, and maybe it's just wanting too much, but I was really hoping that it would enter and like you would see, like, you know, like Cody Walker basically coming in as Paul, like CGI Paul. But it's I was hoping for that. Yeah, his little B, I'm not. I got a few. I loved it, guys. But I got a few gripes. And little B,
of course,
that Charger, like, I'm sorry, not believable. And I know a lot of this movie is not believable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, bro, a 10-year-old in a car like that, I was like, that thing would be like hitting a curb or a light post. I'm like, he would be gone.
He's a Toretto, though.
You know what? That is true.
I'm about to say, yeah, you got to throw in the Toretto G line. You know what I mean?
No, but I think that was Abuelita. You know, like her character, like getting Rita in there. Like, I love that, and I think that's awesome. I am interested because you're starting to see, you know, kind of like the moms are in it. So you have, like, obviously, like Helen Mirren, you have this, you got the normal family, but now, like, and Dom was talking to Han in the barbecue, and he was kind of talking about, like, you got to pass all this down to the generation. So in my mind, you know, I'm like, oh, is this going to be like a young Fast and Furious coming out, like almost like a young Avengers or something like that?
Yeah.
You know, Brian got kids. Obviously, we got little B here. I'm sure that, like, Han has a kid somewhere. He was gone for a while. You know, so you're kind of starting to see all these little kids starting to show up, and I'm like, what are they setting up here? Like, what type of, you know, little fast are we doing here in the next?
Fast.
Cha-ching. They're looking at the
Yeah.
money. They're keeping it rolling till the wheels fall off. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
It's a franchise. I'm not mad at it. You know, the Vin Diesel is the producer in this, and he has a deal with Universal, and that's something that is like very rare in the entertainment business, to own the property that you're acting in, and for him to keep this going, like how Batman kept going, or how Marvel's got their thing going. It's kind of phenomenal. I know this movie doesn't have the best writing; it has a lot of ridiculousness in it. But the interesting thing to me in this franchise is the back end, like the Rock issues with, you know, John Cena, their issues that they have in the background, The Rock and Vin Diesel, you know, all these things that affect the real movie, the real world, that back and forth, and us seeing it as fan service. It's kind of incredible what they have going on here. So with the kids coming into this, I could see that very plausibly happening. That's a good point that you made. I could see that happening for sure.
And now I kind of wonder, with obviously we've said it, spoiler alert, like 42 times, everybody, with The Rock showing up at the end, do you think this was just a huge marketing scheme?
Hey man,
No,
wrestling's real, right?
Uh-oh, we getting the marketing schemes now.
It's like they made it so clear that like I would never act with like they made it so clear, and now to see that at the end of it, I was like, either they gave him a truckload of money or something. But I'm like, yo, that man's in the movie. I'm like, okay. I was like, this is gonna be interesting.
I have a theory. I really think it has to deal with he had, you know, Black Adam. He thought that was in the bag. That fell through. Gal Gadot had Wonder Woman. That fell through now with James Gunn.
Yep.
So they're falling back on, you know, what they're known for fast.
That's a good point.
Let's be honest, Gal Gadot's character was dead when we last saw her. Like, we saw her fall.
Yep.
She shouldn't be in the submarine waving at Letty or in the crew. Like, that makes no sense. And that's one of my problems with the Fast series is I feel like there's a lack of stakes. Like, we saw John Cena's character blow up, but honestly, if he pops up in the next movie with a Band-Aid, say, whoa, that was what, like, that's not going to catch me off guard because that's what I expect. We saw Letty die. She was gone for about 2 films, comes back with no memory. Yeah. So, like, death means nothing in this universe.
I think that's the part that's starting to, like, the more we kind of watch these movies, like, for me, like, Tokyo Drift was high up there for me. Like, everyone bashes that one, but after seeing 9 and all that, Tokyo Drift, you know, is awesome compared to 9. Like, 9 is my worst one, I think. But when you start seeing, like, when Han died, that was so, like, impactful. When Letty, like, all these people, when they died, like, you felt it as an audience. Like, you felt it, like, and we don't know these people for squat, but we felt that pain. Like, when these people were, like, dying. Like, I remember still seeing, I think it was 7, the one right after Paul Walker died. When they did that drive-off scene, I saw so many grown men tearing up in the theater. Right here, me one of them. Like, do not care. But it's, you feel for all these people, and for them to just kind of like whip it back and do this whiplash, like, oh no, you know, like, they survived this, you know, like, we, you know, just kidding, like, Mr. Nobody really took this person when the car blew up and all this, and you're kind of like, wait a minute, like, I think it takes away from, like, the impactfulness, because right now, like, I'm with you, like, John Cena did die, like, Jacob died, but I know I'm going to see him in part 2. Like, I just have it's not going to surprise me, you know? So
you're going to see him. Remember the Miami one where they had the chair that shoots the person sideways out the car? He's probably going to be like, oh, time to hit the button. And he just shoots out the car sideways before it hits the floor and blows up. I'm sure it's going to happen.
Yeah. Did you have something you want to add to it? Or you?
I feel the frustration. I understand the frustration when it comes to the whole stakes and the fact that people are surviving when they shouldn't really be surviving. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they're back. So it's kind of like a catch-22 with me. So I'm just like, because Han was like, the way that they ordered it kind of messed them up with Tokyo Drift. As much as Tokyo Drift is good, the fact that they killed him off in the first place was the wrong move, because he was so charismatic in the other films leading up to it that it was kind of like, dang. So they had to course correct it, of course. And then it's like with even Giselle, I think that was Gal Gadot's character. Yes, she fell. We didn't see her though. So it's one of those things where, you know, in movies where like if I don't see a body, all bets are off.
Yeah, and why? We have so many movies like this. Like Jason died how many times? Michael Myers died how? Freddy Krueger. We've been taking this for years. This guy, Diesel, finally gets a product and he's selling it and he's making something, and the whole world's being extra hard on this. It's a movie. It's fake. Sorry to break it to all these people out here. It's a
real
movie.
to me.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's ridiculousness.
The Rock can't pull the helicopter down with the rope himself.
His bicep.
You know what I'm saying? The gym. Don't be disrespectful. But no, I'm with you, Natasha. I was thinking the same thing. These movies are such fan service.
Yeah.
It's about the hardcore. Like I feel like Fast and Furious to me, I always describe it as like the longest running, like a decade-long TV show. Like every time you go to the movies, right? So you want to see, you get attached to these characters. When they brought Son Kane back, I was like, okay, now they really changed the game on the rules on what you're gonna do in these movies, because the fans were losing their mind. Like, where's Han? We need Han back. The team was ruling down, and I was like, oh, so he's gonna do that. So when he opened that up, I was like, okay, so it's really about who the fans are fighting for, who's part of his family that you hear 25 times in a movie, that you memorize these characters. You want to be on this journey with them. You know what they add to the story. Somebody's a tech guy. Somebody, you know, knows exactly how this car is going to turn the curve. You know, what part of the team. Like, everybody has their place in the team. And so you have to get in your mind like, okay, we saw, you know, Giselle fall down, but it was black, so we can bring her back on this way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the way Cipher, like even the little stuff she does, the way Cipher gives that stuff, you're like, girl, come on now, you strapped to the bed. But it's like, you're not gonna lose. You have to keep this like thrill of like, let's try to figure this out. Let's question why he's doing this, because it's all about that fan service. It's all about keeping people guessing. And I think I feel like a little bit Vin Diesel did have a little fun with people like, oh, now we know this person ain't it. We know he's coming back on this, like, you know, franchise or third movie. And we have about like, I'm pretty sure he said maybe 2 more on this one. So he's already teasing, like trying to get the fans hyped, like, okay, I'm just gonna blow this up. I'm gonna keep doing it. Because I got 2 more that I can kind of get people to get in on. And he didn't have to say that. He could just let us say, okay, everybody about to die. It's the last one. But he knows like how the fan coach, he knows how the fan coach is gonna go. I'm gonna change it up a little bit though. Because speaking of fans and speaking of like the action star power we got in there, Jason Momoa as Dante, like that, we got to talk about his intro into this franchise, how he busts in on the fast team. First of all, we in Rome. Bomb going down the street of Rome. And I'm like, so first of all, the team was in Rome, right? Because Roman decided he wanted to be the leader. You know, he thought he got pulled by the agency to take the crew down to Rome and do this heist, and they thought everything was smooth. He with the flashy cars and stuff, the typical Roman stuff that he does. And they riding down, and then you notice that the car that they're in got a big ass bomb in it, and they turn it on. And it's just like, what are they doing in this town? There's people like everywhere. We know this eventually gets over to Dom and Letty. You know, you kind of see the family slowly trickle from these different areas that they at, right? Like some in LA, you know, wherever they at. Cipher comes back in with her crazy tale because she's supposed to be the warning sign of, hey, Dante's in the building. So I kind of want to go through, there's a lot, I'm kind of giving you like a quick backstory, but there's a lot that comes in bringing into this new Dante element. They went back to Fast 5. So how do you guys feel about that? But yeah, just kind of, I'll go with you, Natasha, again, and then we can go down to Casey and keep it going that way. But yeah, just let me know what you thought about how they took us back to the past because they wanted to bring in Dante.
Yeah, so they did the same thing with I want to say Shaw when they brought him in as a villain. So the callback to Fast 5, which is one of my favorites, hands down. So it was really like nice to see them kind of twist it slightly better, I think, than they did with Shaw, if I remember correctly. But Jason Momoa was just amazing to me, at least. For some reason, I'm hearing a little bit of flack about him as a villain. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? This was like his best acting that I've seen him do, at least in my opinion. So it was kind of like, okay, I see what you're doing. And the fact that he kept on being like several steps ahead of them and then having someone from the agency be working with him. And now they brought another element into it with the agency and the fact that they have this panel of people. We don't know who rejected them going against the team. I'm wondering who that is. So there is just a lot of elements going on here. It's a lot to pile on, but I thought it was a good introduction, and seeing it from his point of view, revisiting some of the famous scenes from Fast Five, especially at the tail end, and just how destructive they are, and the fact that they recreated it in Rome, magnified times 10.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, no, I love the position that they put Dom in by having him on the defense. His facial reactions are usually just like, I got this. Like, you don't see what's coming. He does something crazy and saves the day. This one, his facial expressions were more like, oh, like kind of looking like scared. Like he was in a different frame of mind in this movie, which I found was an interesting take that Dom took. Jason Momoa, he was the color splash on a black and white canvas of this movie. Everybody was like 100% like, just taking it seriously, and he was just coming in like the Joker, which was amazing. His clothing was brilliant, like his fashion, the way he carried himself, cutting people and licking the knife he was just popping in this whole movie. He seemed like he was having a great time, and he was like exercising his acting ability. Like he was trying things differently than what we would see him in previous movies, which might bring out the best in his acting career in the future. Because he's going to be able to see this and be like, hey, I can be a little silly and I can do this. I don't have to be the serious, brute, drunk, muscle guy all the time. The Rome scene was spectacular. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I know it didn't have any stakes because we're at the start of the movie. So, but I enjoyed the way that they redid the scene from the original. And I enjoyed the way that they had the truck from the first movie and they had the draping all the way down on the side so that they couldn't drive under it like they would do in the previous movies. So they were completely on the defense and showing all their skill sets. They couldn't even use any of their skill sets, which was chef's kiss in a way, So I enjoyed it because it made me like, oh, he's on top of this. How are they gonna stop this guy? And throughout the whole movie, they continued that. So it was dope. It was dope opening.
My turn. Okay. I'm gonna piggyback on what Casey said. So I've been seeing a lot of people online referring to Dante as gay Joker and this and that.
Okay.
I didn't interpret it as that. I took it as Vin Diesel's character is like your old school 80s chauvinistic, like macho man. And while Dante is like a newer version of masculinity, he's comfortable in his skin. He can paint his toes. He'll slice you up. He'll smile and dance while doing it. So I just took it as two different types of masculinity clashing. And Dante is the yin to Vin Diesel's to Dominic's yang.
Yeah,
and that's how they were like counterparts to one. So I see the Joker and Batman aesthetic to it. I personally didn't really care much for this movie. Not gonna lie. I felt like it was a lot of been there, done that. There was a lot of set pieces that I've seen before that were recycled, and with it being a part one out of a part two trilogy, I knew there wasn't going to be any real closure in this film. Dominic was doing crazy stuff like he's accustomed doing. He clapped 2 helicopters like some cheeks and flew off with. I don't know how he did that. He lifted up a car with his bare arm. There was one scene that really took me out where he was with the agent. He was going to jump out of the helicopter with his car, and the guy looked at him. He's like, "Hey, you don't have a parachute or anything like that." And Dominic like gives him a look like, "Do you not know what film this is?" Like,
yeah, I remember that.
I'm Dominic Toretto. So, yeah, I like this movie, but I don't feel like you have to see it in theaters. I feel like part 2 could come out, and then you watch this right before you watch part 2, because other than the end credit scene with The Rock dropping, the "Hey, I'm back," it was kind of just table setting to me.
Oof, I'm a little hurt. I don't know if I can follow up that one.
Oh yeah, I might accidentally hit the X button. I'm waiting for a little bit, but
I think in terms of like Jason Momoa's character, like the way that they did Dante, like I feel like they just kind of gave him like words to say, and they were like, just do whatever you want, like go out there, because there's some scenes where like you just see the way he's just walking around and his mannerisms, it fits like his character, like the way Dante is, like something that I thought was really cool. Originally in the movie, they built him a Skyline GTR to drive. And after he read the script, he basically told them like, the Skyline doesn't fit me. Like I want like a big muscle car, you know, kind of like almost like what you were saying earlier, like the yin to the yang to Vin.
Mhm.
And when that first happened, like I personally own a Skyline, so I was bummed because I'm like, oh, I'm like, that could have been my car on, you know. When you kind of see it, it makes sense. Like when you look at his character, it's like this out of control, just psychopath, you know? And when you look at a Skyline versus like an old muscle car, like a Skyline's like precision, like it's very Brian, you know, like very tactical precision. Like you aim it, it goes there. You look at these muscle cars, you take that turn and that back end is going out, you're fishtailing all over the place. You really don't know. Like you're always on the edge of like chaos. And I felt that's what Dante was. And I think for me, like my favorite scene that he did was like, I call it my Weekend and Bernie scene, where he basically is painting the toenails of these two dead guys,
Yeah.
literally talking to them. And the one guy has like a smile, like he taped his face in a smile. And for me, I was like, yo, this dude is like off the chain. Like for me, one of those people who truly made it for me, because he's just so out there that I'm like, that's so different than anything that they've really faced. Like they've always faced very like tactical people who are trying to get them in like, you know, very, I don't want to say like normal ways, but it's like very black and white ways. And when this dude, like when he busted into like Cipher's place with those dead dudes, I was like, oh, he's dead. I was like, that's a good cameo for him. And when he busted out all the people's names, and then the one dude that he randomly killed because he was like, he didn't even have a cat or a dog. Like I couldn't hold anything. I'm like, yo, this dude's a savage. Like you, like he's one of those people that you have to like, you hate to love, you know? Because throughout the movie, like his outfits were fire. Like the way he like walked around and composed, like it was just like he dominated every scene he was in. Like
Yeah.
I personally thought he did and I don't want to say he out Vin Diesel in his own movie, but it's like I was more excited to see Jason on screen than I was, you know, Vin Diesel on screen.
Yeah, have more charisma.
Yeah, which is weird because it's like it's a Dom movie, but and the whole time I was like, yo, give me Dante. Like, let me see more of this crazy dude. So, but yeah, no, but
Dom's charisma has went down in the films. If you watch part one, like dude's charming. Now he's just like family. Like the charisma is like not as much as it used to be in the earlier films.
In the first film, he was more of a background character, and he was like when you see Batman in The Dark Knight, and you see Bruce Wayne most of the time, but he was like Batman. Like you'd see him once in a while. Now we've been seeing him as the main guy most of the time. So yeah, it's kind of extinguished his pizzazz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
And he's got to be serious. You know, he's got to save the family. He can't just be sitting around here painting toes and, you know, they trying to get a son and everything. You know, you got to keep it serious for the family.
I can't wait till the next one when the two Brazilian guys come. They're like, "You talk about family. What about us? You forgot all about us." We're struggling. And then what?
There you go. Yeah,
About family. He ain't look out for them.
Yeah, there's some people they haven't brought back. So I do wonder about that. Yeah, I'm wondering where those two guys are, because they could have rivaled Dante because they got the explosives. They was lighting things up every once.
They were the blow up guys.
Like, yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe 2025 when they do the next one, maybe they'll bring them back. So
yeah.
I don't know, because we need some explosives to match this. Let me add.
Yeah.
We got Sam in the building. What's up, Sam?
Yo, what up, everybody? Sorry I'm late.
What's happening?
The family keeps growing.
Family. It's all about the family.
Barbecue.
Look, Sam, I'm about to put you on the spot real quick since you just joined us. We were talking about Dante and Jason Momoa. How'd you feel about his interest into the franchise? What'd you think?
Bro, he was awesome, bro. Like, he was the life of the party. I mean, from his look to his dress, I mean, he ate up scenery. Like, it seemed like Jason Momoa honestly loved every single moment that he filmed. It was just fascinating because he's the complete contrast to Dom in so many different ways. He, to me, was this universe's version of the Joker, in all honesty. Like, it's not like he can't physically handle himself. It was more so he was smarter than every single step of the way. Like he's been preparing this for years. So every single turn they had, even when they thought they had him, it was like, no, I don't care about that. I just wanted to make you suffer this way. And I was like, he just wants to watch the world burn. And I was all there for every single thing that he was in. I think it was the scene where it got me. I think I talked to Jorge about it. Was when they were. Is this spoiler filled? Are we talking?
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay.
Go for it.
When he was talking to the two tech nerds who were already dead, that he had taped their mouths and faces in contortion, having a full on conversation with them. I was like, that brought me back to like Jack Nicholson, Batman 1989, like just talking to the dead body right there, and I was like he just nonchalantly doing it. And it's crazy because the first introduction to him when, you know, Cipher like was kind of ambushed by him, he had two people like just dragging him in, just kind of let him go. And so, you know, he's physically capable. But this entire movie, we ain't even seen any of that. He just was a step of them every step of the way. And I was like, we don't even know what he's truly capable of at this point. And so the way that the movie ended, I was like, yo, that's the perfect kind of villain for this. It offset the foolishness of all of it with his foolishness. I think that's the weird thing to say. Like, he's so over the top. They were unprepared for something like him. And I was all for it. I was all for it.
Yeah, my favorite part was the bejeweled like phones he kept coming out with. I was like, why is he bedazzling all these phones and stuff and like leaving around for the bag out? Like, he got these dudes like, hold on, let me answer this phone real quick. Bedazzled.
I love the parts when he in Brazil when he pulled out the guns. Everybody pulled the guns out, and then he was petting the guns with his fingers.
Yep.
I was like, all right, that's the little nuance that like you can't teach somebody to do. You know, you can't tell them to do that before action. You know, like that's a natural thing. He was just like, yeah, this looks cool. You know, I'm gonna do this. It's like this guy's nuts.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna blow up this turn. Oh, y'all want me to blow that up? Okay, let's go do it. I was like, oh my god. I was like, yeah. But speaking of villains, we mentioned a couple times already. There's a Cipher. Listen, we know Charlize Theron can fight, but I have not seen Cipher do this. She went in on this scene. I was like, this is one of the scenes where I was in the movie theater, like, what is going on? Like, usually we see her pick up, you know, a remote somewhere. She's hacked into some laptop somewhere. She's pulling cars at a parking decks or whatever because she can control a computer, but she was going in. They stabbed in the back and she was still fighting or on the side somewhere. So I like this. I thought Charlize Theron did her thing here. So
yeah, when she did the spin,
the spin.
She did like double spin and broke someone's neck in the air.
Exactly. Like all of these guys, like, and I love how Dante just sets the scene and he's like, "Oh, you know what to do, so your family is okay," and just like all of them charge her at one time. I was like, oh, what is going down right here? But that is the thing about this franchise too that I love. The women get to be on this equally crazy action footing as well. Like it's no sideline in them. Like they get to deal with it too. Like if they all jump on her, how's she gonna get out? You know, she gotta grab the gun, she gotta go whatever's around her because she has no backup. Like she's a villain, right? Like she's the number 2 villain supposedly in this franchise. So you know, where's her backup? So yeah, let's do our round on Cipher. What you guys thought about her bringing the action this time? And you know, somebody knocked off a pedestal. You know, she ain't in the fake Wakanda tech where she trying to pretend like she driving from a distance. It's time to fight. These days. You want to kick us off? Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. I definitely love that Cipher was actually fighting in this movie because I know Charlize Theron can fight because we've seen her in other films where she had to fight before. So to bring that in here, especially on top of the fact that, you know, she is number 2 villain in this franchise, at least to me. And I'm sure everyone can agree that she's pretty much number 2. Just technically savvy as well as now she can fight. So just having that beginning scene with her actually showcasing that, and at the end of the day, she's a survivor, because we kind of knew that mentally she's a survivor. She was able to finesse stuff in F9, but now it's even more dire because now her life's on the line. So this is where she actually felt threatened probably for the first time. And even now, I'm just wondering if this is all a setup. So we just don't know. Nope. Because she's managed to, you know, work with another villain before. So it's kind of like, well, maybe kind of, sort of, at some point here. We just don't know yet. Especially since with the twist later on, with the agency. So we just don't know. But yeah, definitely a good beginning fight scene with Cipher, and I was here for it.
Akil, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. I'm a fan of Charlize Theron. She was actually my number one pick for Captain Marvel. So, like, seeing her and Brie Larson in this film, I'm like, Marvel may have got it wrong because Charlize Theron came with the heat for this film. Fast and Furious to me has always been pretty progressive with the portrayal of women characters. If you look at it, like Brian's a stay-at-home dad while Mia's still out here going on trips and like doing missions while Brian's at home with the kids. So I'm like, yo, that's pretty dope right there. They're supposed to be doing a female-led Fast project in the future, and I believe Cardi B's coming back for that one because she's not in this film. Another character did Ronda Rousey's character ever die? Like, is she gonna show back up? Or
that's a good one too. Yeah,
she might pop back up.
She might come back up. Yeah,
like in the Abu Dhabi one.
How about her?
Well, just throwing that out there, Ronda Rousey.
You know what? I was like, they'll bring her back.
Nobody dies for real and fast. You know?
Exactly.
I was gonna say Eva Mendes is still somewhere out there. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yep. There you go. Your whole female. There you go. We just set it up for them. There you go.
So yeah, you know, it's out there.
There's so many spinoffs they can do. It's ridiculous. They got the kids and they got the women. So like,
till the wheels fall off.
Yep.
They're gonna cha-ching, get that money till the wheels fall off.
So I really liked how they brought her back in there because when she came to the door bleeding and basically desperate, like, well, one, she came in with a brand new DeLorean and she was desperate.
Hey.
I was like,
Yep.
you think about the fact of she does everything remotely. She doesn't touch anything. So it's kind of like when the general is at the front door bleeding to death with the shotgun, there's a problem. And so it left me a great impression for Jason. So it was very progressive, that transition that kind of happened. And then it led to a great fight sequence. So yeah, I mean, I love Charlize Theron, like her physicality, what she's capable of. It's just, it shows me how bad the situation is that she had to become physical. Now, that facility that they were in with Michelle Rodriguez's character, Letty, I don't know. I felt like Charlize Theron had been there before. Is that her facility? I was a little unclear.
That was one of the agency's like secret like black site, basically.
Okay, because she seemed familiarized with everything, the board, and I maybe just that's her technical prowess or not, but she seemed like she knew everything that was going on down to, you know, what we get later on. I don't know if we're going to go that deep for the spoiler, but who they meet in the submarine. It kind of felt like she knew that person was going to be there.
Down to the winter coats.
Right. So I'm wondering if the moment that she got transported there, that was when the plan kind of went into motion, or is this a deeper, darker plan? I really don't know. And the other thing is, I don't know if Wonder Woman was always working with her or not. I was going to ask that question, but I'll leave that.
Interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
What you think, Casey?
No, I enjoyed her fighting. I love that they showed that she's multi capable. She's not just a tech person. Yeah. I love the way that the big bad, came knocking at the door, completely vulnerable. That was amazing. So they did a lot to make this very interesting at the same time being completely ridiculous. But I was entertained and I enjoyed it. The fight scene was great because they keep stepping up the game. Ever since they had the fight scene, I think it was with Ronda Rousey a long time ago, they've really stepped the game up on the fighting. And I like the way that they're really still showing that and doing that in this movie too. And I'm excited to see what they do in the next one with the fight scenes.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, basically everyone kind of said it here, but I will say, the hand-to-hand combat, I think, has progressively gotten so much better. Like, the choreographing of it has gotten really, really good. I enjoy her character. I think the only part that kind of like threw me off in terms of when you look at these characters, when she showed up at Dom's house, like, this lady straight up killed your baby mama in front of your face. And Dom didn't just rip her head off immediately. And for me, I'm thinking like the old Dom, like someone crashed into his dad's car and he killed him with a wrench. But yet this woman killed your baby mama and you're like, okay, let's talk. Sit in my couch. Like, talk to me. I felt like he basically was more understanding And I loved when Letty came down, putting in the silencer was like, talk, because I'm like, there's no killer right here, like, Dunzo. But no, her as a character, I find very fascinating. I think for me, Cipher is almost like the yin to the yang to Mr. Nobody.
Mm.
It's this movie, you're kind of getting a lot of, that yin to the yang, like those opposite type of characteristics. And I think, because in this movie, they keep alluring to like how Mr. Nobody's just missing. And I think she's going to know where he is. Like they're going to use her tech or something with her that's really going to help out. Like I'm excited to see her and Ramsey kind of get together and just like, hopefully in the next film, because obviously Ramsey's like a computer whiz and you put her with it, I think that's going to be a very crucial thing. Because obviously, they keep bringing back weapons and stuff from like other movies, like the God's Eye and all this stuff. So I think you're going to end up seeing almost, and this could be like the spinoff where like the girls get together and figure out that tech stuff, But no, I thought her as a character in this movie, like I've always enjoyed Cipher, and I think she's a very alluring character who I think will bring a lot, in this next chapter or two.
Do you think Cipher might join the family?
No.
No, see,
All right.
No, I don't think
That's
you will.
okay.
Yeah.
this is the part that's weird. Like, I want them to like non-villainize the villains. Like, she a bad guy. Like, she needs to stay on that. Like, yes, help us out. Like, I get like the friend of like like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. I get that, but at the end of the day, like she still needs to die. Like she, just plain and simple. Just she needs to go.
Yeah. Well, that's why I appreciate the Letty Cipher fight scene, because I like how Letty was like, I know we both trapped up in here and I got odds against me too, but we got a problem because you've been coming after, you've been coming after us for a couple movies now. Like, what's the deal? Why am I locked in here with you? Like, Letty was like 10 times always like, I'm gonna beat her. Like, we gotta go. Like, something is, I don't know why we working together right now. Like, why are you sitting right here? So I like that they kept that in there, even if Dom was gonna let it go. So I don't think I don't know. I think there's a line with her where I don't think she's ever gonna be, because you can never trust her. She always like, who is strapped to the table, handcuffed, and over here like putting up wire. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? So like, you can never trust where she's at. Like, she's always got 10 different steps. So yeah, I would never let her. Yeah, I was like, I hope not. I was like, I would never let her near my family at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Then like put her on that analog keyboard, keep her away from the tech. Like, I don't know what's going on.
So I got a problem with that scene. And I don't know if y'all talked about it already or not. The fight scene was dope. The fight scene was dope. It was well choreographed. But from the moment that they got unlocked, Cipher said, we got 5 minutes. And they decided to have this fight.
Yeah.
And it stretched longer than 5 minutes because Cipher said they're going to be coming in with guns. And they proceed to have this full-on fight. And I was like, and this movie is crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was fully entertained.
And she was like, we got 4. So we got 4 to fight. 4 to fight.
That fight scene took me out because it was so unnecessary. I was like, can y'all get out first and then have this outside? And then like Letty goes back up there and comes back down. And I was like, and it didn't make any sense because I was like, where's the guards that y'all just said were coming? So that whole sequence, I think it was kind of, they didn't telegraph it well. I think it didn't progress well as far as where the story is supposed to go. If anything, like she should have said, nobody else is going to be coming. We got to figure our way out. So we've got like a day or something like that. But she said 5 minutes, they're going to come back. The gas is going to wear off. They're going to wake back up. Whoever was down, they never woke back up. The guards never came. But even deeper than that, they had a fight in the middle of it. It just took me out. The fight was dope, though. Like, I'm not going to spare the fight. I understand Letty's,
It's the exact problem with the movie. Like, it's ridiculous, but they get in these dope action scenes. But it's how they get there is ridiculous. It's like, you just gotta let it go and be like, all right, we're here now.
Car with his bare hands, like,
exactly.
With one arm.
Akil, you're not
arm.
listening. What's going on, Akil? You're not listening, right? Like, what's happening?
I don't have the strength of family like Dom, man.
Yeah, you need the strength of family, Akil. Stop playing. Get that strength of family, okay?
I need more family strength. the car went on.
One arm, bruh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
I have a theory for Dom. I really feel like Dom is Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider. It's fireproof. That charger of his, we saw that bomb rip a bus in half, but it'll hit his charger and just have no damage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready for Dom to join the MCU. Dom is going to turn.
Oh, he's already joined the MCU.
He's going to join the
The
MCU.
people in the movie are on
He's
MCU.
joining
his
the
son
MCU
literally
again.
caught fire in the end. He is Ghost Rider.
Yeah, like he's Ghost Rider.
Caught fire at the end of the movie.
Hold up, let me pop it up one time. Bam,
Him and his son looked at each other like, "This is awesome," and they were on fire. I was
They
like,
were
"This
on
is crazy."
fire.
Get the next Avenger right here, people.
Ghost
Get
Rider.
ready. Get ready.
And that
Next
medallion
Avenger.
of his is magical. That medallion is magical. I don't know what's in the medallion or the significance of it, but it's magical. It's a magical medallion that makes him impenetrable.
So,
and fireproof.
but that sequence when the bomb went off, I thought that was a dope sequence. I thought it was going to take me out, but it was kind of like him trying to outrace the blast race. I was like, okay, he can't really outrun it. But I was like, what's going to be the damage? And like the CG behind that, like it was wild. Like how far they went with that one. So I thought it was a dope scene. It was still ridiculous, but I don't know. The movie itself was just so much more entertaining to me than the ninth one. The ninth one completely was like, I thought it was really bad. But this one, I was so entertained that I'd want to go watch this again, to be honest with you. I feel like the more I watch it, I'd enjoy it so much more each time, to be honest.
This feels like it was like the best of the Fast and the Furious. Like they took the best parts of other movies.
Put it all together,
yeah, kind of put it all together in here.
Yeah.
No,
another thing. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, you good, Jorge? Did you want to
yeah,
say?
I was just saying. I think they're definitely like peaking in terms of they basically have found this really niche market of like it's almost like the Mission Impossible with cars.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
Yep.
You're
Exactly.
doing crazy stunts, and it's like I miss back when it was all about like racing. And I was joking with Sam in the theater where I was like, I want to see race wars. Like, bring me back and show me race wars. Like, I miss that, but it's at least we got one race in this movie, like when they were in Brazil. So I was happy about that. But the car stunts that they're doing now and all that, like that stuff is dope. Like I'm all for that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was gonna show since you mentioned it. Yeah, this was the race from hell. Like they gave us a race, but I was like, oh my god, I was like, I didn't want that kind of race scene. But
yeah, that was dark.
Like,
that was
it was. This is really showing. Like, this is one of. I think this was one of my like. I was scared, but it was also one of those things. It was like Dante really amped up like who he is as the villain and how he's gonna play because he just doesn't care. It's like if he can light on fire, he's ready. Like if and it's somebody that has even an inkling of like, oh, you said Dom's name, oh, you gone. You know, so it was a crazy like high stake, like because usually you could get at least one race scene and they just race it for something, respect or what. He was blowing people up, like it was like choose who was gonna die until you get to the finish line. So I thought that was an interesting, like raise the stakes that we don't usually get to see in this film.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to change it up a little bit here because usually we don't get the backstory on the agency that we got from this one. Because speaking of like all the nobodies, so Mr. Nobody is apparently missing, and then we got Little Nobody came back, Scott Eastwood. He had his little moment. Then we had I like to say Miss Nobody, but it was Tess, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. Getting her to come in here. We got AIM. He was Aquaman if you watch Smallville, right? So
yes, I'm so glad you know that.
Yes. So, we got, Aquaman on the same team. If you were
to
thinking about it,
yeah.
So, but it was interesting. Like, usually we don't get this in depth with the agency, right? Like, why are they working with, like, if you think about it, this crew, right? They was criminals in the beginning, starting out, and now they helping the government on these high stakes missions. So what's up with the agency? Like, what's the deal behind them? Like, are these good guys and they know what they're doing? They got too much tech. They got guys out, everything. And so, can you trust them? And I like how they brought this other government element into this to really break this down. Like, who's in charge?
It reminds me of Marvel when S.H.I.E.L.D. got compromised by Hydra. It seems like that type of situation. Like they've been compromised by what other agency is taking over, and maybe Mr. Nobody's kind of like a Nick Fury type of character where he's laying low and trying to pull some strings on the side while making sure he don't get got in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can totally see that.
So what you're saying is that Vin Diesel stole this idea from Marvel.
This is he is Ghost Rider. He's Ghost Rider.
Anybody else got anything you guys want to add for the agency, or you want to keep it pushing? Anybody else?
I thought it looked kind of cheesy when they're in that 3D room, to kind of giving the catch up on what's going on in the movies, in the past movies and stuff like that. That looked a little too cheesy. They could have just been in an office, like a real state of the art looking office. You know?
The fake
that's
Cerebro.
true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked kind of cheesy. I was like, this is not. They're not using the budget on this one here. This feels like a TV show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they also was trying to make fun of themselves too because of how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the references that they've made in the past movies and however, like the history of everything and how ridiculous it is. It's kind of like they're poking fun at themselves too, which I actually liked as well. But
Yeah.
it was funny because like the council or whatever, it kind of reminded me, was it not Justice League, but one like the evil villain council, like in DC, like
Legion of
how they
Doom.
meet up.
Yeah, Legion of Doom.
Yeah, the Legion of Doom. Like it kind of reminded me of that. I was even with the screens. That's literally what it reminded me of. I think it was Young Justice. They did a lot of the meetings and
wasn't there something like this in Captain America: Winter Soldier? Where
Yep,
Nick
I
Fury was
did.
trying to convince everybody to.
Yeah.
combination.
He works for Marvel. He's like, let me see that script.
I know.
Let me hold
Combo
on to that.
Marvel and DC is in this movie.
Yeah, the whole entire cast is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
superhero in some way, shape, or form. The whole cast, even down to the rat girl from Suicide Squad.
When did Ludacris's character go from a mechanic to a tech whiz? And where's Ja Rule? I feel like this movie needed Ja Rule. Hey, let's bring back Ja Rule. We brought back everybody else. Ja ain't doing nothing. Bring back Ja Rule.
He's still chasing Monica.
See, they would have to bring back Bow Wow before they did Ja Rule.
They brought back Bow Wow. Fast
Bow Wow's
9.
in it.
Well, yeah.
You got
Bring
the
back Ja. Let Ja Rule have it.
Well, that means they have to go back to Miami, which they haven't really been back there since what F2.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna do a hashtag.
Can we go back to
on Twitter, Bring
Tokyo?
back Ja Rule. We're gonna make it happen.
I'm gonna go back to Tokyo.
Go back to
Bring
Tokyo.
It'll be
Joe King
interesting
back.
if they do like the stomping grounds of each movie. Like they've already did what was it, Brazil, and I think we even did Antarctica because we get the songs from F6. F7. Was it F7?
I think that wasn't it 6 that did this?
No, F8. Was it F8?
Yeah, started at F8. Yeah, F8 was
Too many. Y'all can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's a blur, like driving fast on the highway. It's
Wait
just
a minute now.
blur.
F7 had y'all crying. I should remember it. They had y'all crying. Come on now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, because it was funny with Akil being annoyed by some of the repeating stuff. I was annoyed by all the highways I was saying. I'm like, we've been going through these highways. I'm like, can we get another road here?
Another person they could bring back is Michael Ealy from Fast 2. He's a narrative character they never explored since that film.
That's right. He just messed his car up. I forgot. He didn't die. Yeah, that's right.
He didn't die. So they could bring back Ja Rule, Michael Ealy. They could bring back the girls from Tokyo Drift. We haven't seen them in a while. Let's just have one big fast reunion.
Bring back Rick Yoon. Rick Yoon from Fast and the Furious 1. The guy who was mad that his dad's DVD players got stolen. Remember him? Rick Yoon. He came with the Uzi with the motorcycle. Remember?
Oh yeah, but no one ever really dies in Fast movies, so yeah, he could probably pop back up.
Now, I think there is some believability if Dante really is trying to dismantle everything that Dom loves. Anybody that has helped them in the past, he may go to Tokyo and ice. What's the old dude? Lucas Black's name. Got his character's name.
I forgot Tokyo Drift, to be honest. All I know is Bow Wow and Han.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a way that they could go back to the different people that have been connected with Dom over the past. But as far as getting back to what you said, your question, I do like they brought in Jack Reacher.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
One, he's a whole pound anyway. Physically, I mean, he's a superhero. He's been Hawkman. He's Jack
Hawkman.
Reacher.
That's it. Yeah,
he's been Aquaman. He is the man. But the way they threw us is that trope of you're so used to believing that you can change people and they'll go back on your side. like you didn't really see what was really happening. And like Dom actually protected him when the rollover happened. He pushed him closer so he could grab on to save him
with his foot.
little does Dom know
I love that
this
like,
guy
put the foot on his chest.
Right. The reason why
disrespectful.
the police were still shooting at him as the ball was still dropping is because he was set up. like they were all pointing to them, and I was kind of like, why are these cops shooting at him? It didn't make any sense. But now I was like, oh, this organization is going against him from the beginning. Like this has all been a complete setup. And so I thought it was a dope double cross. And at the same time, they're not capable of going against the agency, and they're not capable of going against Dante. So it makes for a great pairing that I don't know where this is going to go. They're going to definitely need help.
Oh, go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
No, good.
No, I was going to say kind of like the yin and yang. Hobbs is kind of like his yang in this case, or even Mr. Nobody, like either or. And then I want to say with Brie Larson, I can't really know for sure who she's the yin yang for.
Cipher, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. But there's a lot of yin yangs here going on, like everyone's been saying earlier. So
I describe this movie as a man without family values going after a family man.
Yeah.
And that is
that's real.
The simplest description of this film.
Yeah, R.I.P. to John Cena. I forgot about that.
Dang. He's like, I kind of like my dad, but you killed him, so now I have a reason to, to go after you.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't even really close with his dad. He's like, my dad wasn't a nice person, but neither am I. So I'm gonna finish this job.
Let's talk about John Cena's attitude adjustment and him actually doing his finisher called the attitude adjustment. What do you guys think of all this? John Cena.
It's like his character from one movie to another. He went from this like, 007, like I live in the dark side and I do all this, to like the cool dorky uncle. It kind of threw me off because I was like, yo, what happened to like this crazy murderer type dude? And he went from, and given like his little fox body Mustang, cool and all that, but in my head I was like, yo, that's the best you got for this? Like I know you want to be low, but at least get like a new Mustang, like like that was a little interesting now. But his character, I think he's the complete polar opposite of Dom. Like now he's like the little jokester comedian, just happy little babysitter, So, but it was, his character, I think something happened obviously between 9 and 10 where he just became this nice, lovable guy who no longer is this, tactical like hitman who can jump off a cliff and have Cipher like scoop him up on her droid.
Cool uncle.
But he redeemed himself. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I probably say the same thing. Use KC. He had a couple of tricks though. He was the babysitter, but like the rockets on the side of the car, I was like, "Well, you get one of them, man." I was like, dude was blasting with that. I was like, he said he was just still in his garage, and this is what he came up with. I was like, okay. So,
it reminded me of Steve from Stranger Things when he kind of took on the babysitter role, and they did a 180 with his character shift.
Yeah,
pretty much what they did with John Cena's character here, and they made him a babysitter. I'm not saying Vin Diesel watches Stranger Things, but
he's like, I'm gonna take a little of that, sprinkle it in.
I mean, he had cool tech too. I mean, you had the car, but you had that little glider thing. I wasn't expecting that.
Exactly.
Really cool.
Yeah.
He redeemed himself as a character for sure.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely plays more like his peacemaker character in this one. And I mean, I think to be honest with you, like he fits that character better than he did the last one. Like I think that was one of the things that was so missing with him. This is not believable, bro. Like John Cena, like that's not your lane. But him being the goofy, lovable, like uncle, this fits perfectly for John Cena. He does comedic timing pretty well. He can be very charismatic, and he can make you feel stuff. And it can be empathetic to the situation. And so it's like when he was kind of like, I think what it was is that he lost a lot of the tech because he's trying to stay low. Like I don't think he didn't have it capable. I think he was just trying to lay low as much as possible because he had a whole fortress, like technically. And so with what he knew, like he was like, this is the best thing to keep my nephew alive. I think it was just tragic that he played right into Dante's hands. And it was like he used his weakness again too, because he was like, I had one job just to protect my nephew, and I couldn't do that. And so I need to sacrifice my life. And I think Dante knew one way or another, like, this is gonna be interesting because he's gonna try to sacrifice himself. Let's see the popcorn. You know, I was like, Jason Moore played that scene so well because he just enjoyed every second of this man's demise. Like he could care less. But yeah, RIP to John Cena's character.
Do you guys really think?
Now.
Come on, now, Fast and Furious. You guys
No.
You really think
He clutched.
You have that
He
necklace.
clutched the necklace.
That is the signal that he is.
That made him
officially
teleport.
gone.
He teleported out of that car.
He's gone. He's gone. Like they gave him his small little moment. It was it.
Yeah.
He's gonna teleport in the sand and be like, huh,
I know.
it worked in the next
have a
movie.
Band-Aid.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be like,
I'm
okay.
more interested to see who's actually gonna die by the end of the series because they're gonna kill a couple of different people. Ain't no way all of them making it out. Ain't no way.
Well, I
Ain't
did
no
want to
way.
touch on something real quick. Speaking of that, so we can kind of put a nice little bow. Everybody can kind of give the last little comments on how everything kind of wrapped up and everything. We did have the rest of the squad going, but they were scattered. So we don't know about these other two parts that we got coming up of the series here because we had Tej, we got Roman, we got Ramsey. They were dealing with the issue of Dante done stole all their money. They had to figure out where to get weapons from. They even had to go back to Deckard Shaw. We know he be pissed when all the team come find him. So they even had to go back and pull that out. So, and then to top all that off, when we get to the very end, spoiler alert again, so pause us to come off if you don't want us to keep talking about exactly what happened here. And come back and watch. But at the end, they're on this plane, right? Looking like they're coming in to save the day. They done got all the resources. They've been traveling around. And we see an engine get blew out. Now, it's Fast and Furious, so we know the game. But to Sam's point, we're going into 2 more movies. Is everybody coming back through? Because everybody didn't have a huge say-so, a huge part in this film. Like, who's the one that they really trying to keep going along as they, put a spotlight on the kids, as they maybe have a all-female Fast and Furious in the future. Like, who are the key players here? So I kind of want to go around and get everybody's opinion on how everything kind of wrapped up. Natasha, we'll go with you first.
I don't know. It's kind of like up in the air. It's kind of like you're thinking that someone's gonna, catch it. I mean, so far from what we know, from what we've seen, is John Cena's character. That's the only person that's really like died. But again, we don't know if that's gonna stay that way. And that's part of the problem with this franchise is we don't know if folks gonna stay dead. That have clearly died, that have been blown up or whatever. So I think at least with Tej, Roman, and Ramsey, they're probably gonna make it at least through this next movie. Now, if they do it part 3, I don't know if they're gonna make it. Because we have to have an emotional resonance. We have to actually really feel, other than John Cena's character, who we've only known for like 2 movies. Mm-hmm. That's not enough time for me to really like boo-hoo cry. This ain't Paul Walker. So we need to really lose someone for real for us to be like, okay, we're this is serious. And I mean, Dom's died a few times, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. But who knows? Maybe he will ultimately die. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So Letty died and came back from the dead, so she's not going to die. Tyrese showed in part 9 that he has superpowers and he can't die. Yep. So Tyrese is good. Ludacris and Ramsey, they're up for grabs. John Cena's going to show back up from the dead. So I think it's either going to be Cipher or, nobody's going to care if she dies. Yeah. So I think it's going to be either Ramsey, because she's a new member. Han's not going to die. The man done died for years and came back. They're not going to kill Han. They're not going to kill Gal Gadot's character. So it's going to be a main character like Dom or maybe Ludacris's character or maybe Ramsey. But I don't see Tyrese or Letty or Han kicking the bucket since they already had their moment of dying. Like it'll be dumb, lack of better words, if Han was to die again. You'd be like, really? Another funeral for Han? Like, really? So I don't see that happening. Tyrese, they're trying to move him into a leadership role. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna take out his character. And John Cena, I don't think he's dead. He was too charismatic in this film for them to take him out like that. He's gonna show up and be the uncle that saves the day in the next film. So Uncle Cena saves the day in part 2. I'm saying it now.
No, I would think. I think the only death that could actually like make sense is Dom dying.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's what I think.
I can see Dom dying, in most likely in like the next one, saving little Brian, but then like with like his last words, handing everything over to like Han, because realistically, the only reason Han came back was just how many fans love him. Like he's really one of those characters that, if you think about it, after Tokyo Drift, if it wasn't for the fan outcry, there was no need to bring him back. People just really like him as a person. So, and even with that first barbecue, like Dom could have been talking to Therese, to Ludacris, like to any of them, but he was talking to Han about, we got to set up the next generation and all this. It's almost like if that's going to be like the passing of the torch, because realistically, like if they kill like Brie Larson's character, no one's gonna care.
Don't care.
Like he's the only one who and his final words will be like, protect the family. Takes off his chain and gives it over. But yeah, I think that's the only character who it makes sense dying and like putting a good conclusion, because at that point, realistically, Mr. Nobody will put him in the witness protection program, and a new Triple X movie will come out. Put that out there, because it's basically the same character. But no, I think he's really the only person who it would actually mean something if he dies.
I completely agree with what you said. I think Dom, there's nobody that they could kill off to make it actually like have an impact anymore, because this is the 10th movie. I was hoping it would only be 2, of this final thing, but since they're making it 3, it kind of spoils it. But like, there's no impact. So Dom is the only one. If he goes out like Ghost of Tsushima, like everybody thinks he's dead, but he's really alive, because the problems keep arising because people want to get back at Dom. So if he's like, make him think I'm dead, and he's just like a samurai in the woods, you know what I mean? Just in the background, like how Dexter left and went to the woods, that type of thing. So I don't know how they're going to make it impactful. They're going to have to really write their ass off for this one, because it's going to be
not their strong suit. It's
going to make it tough for them to hit the landing. You know what I mean? Stick that landing for this last couple. I wish it was one last movie, because that could crunch it in and make it way more impactful.
Yeah. I think it's actually 2 people that are going to catch it before it's over with. I'll tell you why and who. But I do want to comment on Jorge's thought about Han. It does make sense, because Han teaches people. Like, he loves to teach and bring people up. Like, we saw what he was able to do in Tokyo. So it would actually make the most sense. And he was talking directly to him. So I think that works. I think that this entire franchise's point, there's been one individual that has been the comic relief the entire time. Whether we wanted it to be, whether it was intentional or not, like, there's been one. I mean, of course, Ron and Tej go back and forth, but it's really just Ron and his foolishness, right? And I think that in this movie, they kind of set him up to be like, you're going to be the leader, you do this. And that gave him a little bit of guilt, a little bit of responsibility. And I think that the next step to that is that Dante even said it. He said, yeah, you were supposed to be the one to take care of this. It's on you. And I was like, you're baiting him, And I was like, they're not dead in this plane crash. They're not dead. I know that for a fact. So what would be fascinating, what would be hurtful, is in the next movie that he legit dies. Like, he's trying to take responsibility for what he did. And I think that will be an emotional impact. Because I think it's an intentional thing to make him set up to be a leader, when we really know, like, what does that really mean? What are you trying to do from a story narrative standpoint? And so I think that him dying would actually hurt. Like, you're actually killing the heart and the joy of the foolishness that is this franchise. And so I think that would work. And I think my second person is absolutely Dom. I think Dom is going to go out sacrificing everything for his family, for his kid, for everybody that, like, I mean, I think that it's going to be a Tony Stark situation. Like, I think that he's going to sacrifice himself, and it's no way around it. I'm just curious to see how, because he's lived through everything. Like, he's had everything happen to him except getting ran over by a car.
They're gonna shoot him into the sun.
So I really don't know how he's gonna die. I think that's more of a question of when. But yeah, I do think that he's gonna go out like that. I don't know. But
Tyrese will have a fit if they kill him, though. He'll be on Twitter. How you gonna break up the family?
Well, no,
like,
not
Tyrese
necessarily. If they give
What more do you want from me?
But if they give him
the meme,
if they give him like a legit going out, I think he'll be appreciative, because that's, I mean, this is the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they actually give him a moment that all his shenanigans up until this moment was for this, I think it'll be perfect. And I know for a fact they're gonna be talking with him about if they do that route. So yeah, those are my two predictions. Anybody else is kind of who cares and who knows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
there they all go.
the only other person that they could kill, which would be meaningful, would be Mia. Now that I think about it,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
you have that brings up, Paul Walker's character, like Brian back from the dead, or I'll say Cody Walker, because Cody will be the one playing him.
Oh my gosh,
that would be the only one. But if you kill off Mia, that kills off your girl like spinoff. So I think that's the only way. That's the only reason why they wouldn't kill her off.
but Michelle Rodriguez could do that.
Well, I was gonna say I think Letty could take that one, but they have like why are we? They did a whole kind of promotion thing with Cody going around like like to your point, Jorge, where they're trying to like he's in Metal Walker made her appearance into the film. So there's something here that they're trying to get at that wasn't really fleshed out in this film. So I mean, they could be leading to Mia.
Wait, didn't Mia get locked up?
Moment.
Did she get locked up? Did she get locked up at the end of this, or did she get away to go to Brian?
I think she got away to go with the kids. Yeah, okay. She was the one that like Brian and the kids and everything. So that's why she ended up getting out. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with it. But yeah, it's gonna. I know, like I feel like it's gonna be when it is Dom, because they're all roads are leading to that. It's gonna be interesting to fandom, because the train doesn't be checking without him. So let's see. It's gonna be interesting how they tie it in, because it's gonna be like like you said, a Tony Stark situation. Like I remember I was seeing like grown people just like boo-hooing in the theater, like they was out when Tony was out of this movie. So I can't imagine like the way Vin Diesel propels his franchise. If he goes out, what does it do?
Yeah.
Is everybody like, okay, I understand the stakes are high enough, this is where it goes. I'm gonna be sad, but I mean, to everybody's credit here, they lining it up for that. It's like, who else are they gonna take out? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be interesting to see the fans' reaction. Like, does it still have that impact? Have we hit enough for these spinoffs to blast it through? Where they're like, okay, this is what we got to do. So yeah, I mean, to take out the helm is gonna be interesting. So
yeah, and I think take them out like the first 20 to half an hour of the next movie.
Yeah,
like just take them out quick, so everybody feels like, oh man, where are they going from here?
Right.
Yeah, I think that, and then let him produce the movies in the back end. Like let him do the kids, the woman one, all that from the back end. The Reddick, all the other movies that he can do.
I mean, I do want another Triple X. That was good on Jorge. I do want another Triple X. Give me that. Give me that. Line that up.
Just produce in the background, because that's a lot of work in itself. So I'm excited.
God. Wait, did y'all talk about how they're supposed to make it out of the last scene? Like, I'm talking about Dom and his kid
with the bombs everywhere.
No
code. Like,
have y'all talked about that?
We did. You want a deep dive? You want a deep dive? Go ahead. If you want
I'm just curious. Like, how are they gonna actually survive that? Like, I know this show is. This series is foolish, but I see no way they're gonna just get picked up by somebody and make it out. I don't know. I was curious y'all perspective, because I don't know. I really don't know what's.
Obviously Dom, because he is invincible, will be on top of Lil B when we come back in the opening of the next film. I'm just saying, he got a shield. He's an Avenger, so he can protect his kid. Yes, exactly. See, there you go. This is what's happening. I don't know. I can't believe he jumped down. I can't believe he jumped down in there in the car. It was like the two semi-automatic trucks were coming, and he's like, "You ain't taking my car." And I was like, "Oh, he is not getting ready to do this." I was like, "Oh my gosh." And then
Oh.
Dante and his bomb, just like, I'm like, dude, where is the bomb arsenal coming from? Like, just on every, like every like pillar or whatever you want to call it. Like, dude, it's crazy. Like, it's insane. So
It
I
came
don't
from
know.
the agency. The bombs came from the agency. That's what that is.
But it's like Dante having the key to the age. It's like, Lord have mercy. I don't know. He got the guy's eye. I'm praying for him. But yeah, we hopefully Dom got a shield while he down in there. I don't know what to tell him. I mean, hopefully he got something.
How do we know the bomb
I
goes
was like,
off?
you said what?
How do we know the bomb even goes off?
Oh, remember the dam broke open.
It
The dam did
but
break
who
open?
knows?
Yeah. The water. That was the end. The water was rushing towards them, like literally.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember if he was about to hit the button, it was like a countdown thing happening, and then it went to the next scene. The bomb actually went off. The water was coming at them.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to see it again because I was just
I
like,
can't
what? I was in the theater.
I can't remember if it was like a cut and it was like because the fire was already on the other side. Yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah.
Like, if they actually lit up, but yeah, I'm going for my second round. I gotta watch this again. I gotta see it again. It had me hooked. So I'm going for my second round to see it. So I don't know. Any last thoughts, guys? That's all I got. Any last thoughts to wrap it up?
How soon can we get the next movie?
Yes. Well, I heard 2025, which I'm not excited about. I'm like, I need this like next year, but they say
It might get pushed
2025,
back
so
even
I
more
know.
because the writer's strike might have it pushed back even more. But it doesn't seem like
there
they
you go.
really have writers on this thing, so we might get it. Who knows?
I thought they filmed this like back to back, or did they not?
I thought so too.
I think when they had the original director, it was supposed to be back to back, but he just said, "This is so ridiculous, I can't do this," and they got a new director. So I don't.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They did have the Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, the
director.
Aquaman, the guy who did Aquaman. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Justin Lin.
Yeah, but he dipped on the project. So
Yeah, so they might not have one in the can. I don't know. This gonna get real interesting. I keep
Mhm.
people holding on, but yeah, I need that second one because I was mad at the end. I was like, come on, you got
Yeah.
a whole one. I was like, what you doing to me right here? But yeah, so we'll see. I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully they get it together. But I appreciate you guys. This was a blast. Everybody go
Thank you.
out, check out the movie, watch it again. Get on that adrenaline roller coaster for the second time. Pick up some stuff that we might have missed, and let us know. Leave us your comments. But yeah. And you guys make sure you follow and subscribe because you never know. We got some more reviews coming down because the movie theater right now is hot. Like I'm spending way too much money on movie tickets. Like this is getting crazy. So you guys get ready. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys again. Thank you for everybody joining. And we will talk to you guys again later. Bye.
Peace.
Later.